So Chelsea were 5 wins out of 5 in the league, just 2 points behind league leaders Liverpool, heading into a run of fixtures what looked like tricky but definitely winnable games. I mean, we were all having a laugh as we beat our chest saying that we are not in a title race, we're just here for the 3 points and to have a good time. But in the span of these 4 games, the whole season seems to be bursting at the seams. A bit of an overreaction, but having to play Everton, Fulham, Ipswich and Crystal Palace, we have picked up 2 points from a possible 12. That is a shocking return. And Manchester City, who are going through their worst ever period under Pep Guardiola, are now just 2 points behind us in 6th position. That's how serious this situation has become. The goodwill of the first 15 games has completely worn off, and now we find ourselves in a dogfight for the 4th spot. Before the season, if you asked any Chelsea fan that 20 games in, Chelsea would be in 4th, considering the average age of the team being one of, if not the youngest in the league, with the managers only in his 2nd ever season as a top flight manager, most of us would have taken that eyes closed. But our eyes are wide open, aren't they? Because what has transpired in these 4 games has been so poor. We look good in the first half, we don't kill the game, leave the door open, and the opposition inevitably bursts through. This has been a common theme in this period, and patterns are now starting to emerge. Against Everton, it was 0-0, a game we could have very easily lost in that second half, but you don't really mind a point at Goodison knowing just how that ground has been for us over the last 2 decades. But then that Fulham game happens on Boxing Day. We score early courtesy of Cole Palmer's individual brilliance, and from there on it was all Fulham. Their subs scored 2 in the last 10 minutes and they take the deserved win. Right, it's just a blip, right? We should be okay with games coming in against Ipswich and Crystal Palace, so no real panic. But Maresca rang in the changes against Ipswich. The keeper, the striker was rotated, Disasi played as the right-sided centre-half. 10 minutes in, they get a dodgy penalty. 20 minutes in, I just know that we are not winning. And in the second half, about 5 minutes into the second half, Hutchinson scored courtesy of a mistake of our own. And from there on, I was just bored because Chelsea were just not having that cutting edge. The game ends 2-0. But then we start to panic as Crystal Palace away suddenly became a must-win to stop the rot. Because every drop point will be highlighted because the squad building will come into question. Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo have been outstanding, but they are being run to the ground here with Romeo Lavia not being fit and no other centre mid in the squad trusted to shoulder the minutes, as the drop off from Enzo and Caicedo to the rest is massive. Andre Santos out there in France is absolutely balling out there in Strasbourg, and a part of me, heck, every part of me wants us to cancel that loan and bring him back to Cobham next week. We just cannot afford an injury in midfield. It would absolutely derail the season. And then Crystal Palace happens at the weekend and the same theme emerges. Palmer scores 15 minutes in, we create a bucket load of chances, but the inability to kill the game left us vulnerable, and I just knew that in the second half we did not have the capacity to take all 3 points. The equalizer comes from Palmer losing the ball needlessly in midfield, and we get caught out for Mateta to equalize. It is head scratching as to how Enzo Maresca's in-game management and unwillingness to use his bench earlier are starting to come to the forefront now. From being proactive early on to reactive now is costing us points and really shaking our confidence. It's a mix of, I would say, stubbornness and putting too much faith in some players. But what Maresca cannot do is take the foot off the pedal. He needs to instill this mentality in us to be ruthless in both boxes, because a few more bad results and we are going from a very good season to an ordinary one just like that. Look, Enzo Maresca has said and done a lot of good things in these 5 months, but the next four will be telling as to whether or not he is the right man to take us forward to win the big prizes, knowing how Chelsea fans are so demanding with our managers to deliver quickly. Look, we've got Bournemouth and Wolves both at home coming up next before we head out to the Etihad Stadium on the 25th. 6 points from those two games is a must for us. Look, I am starting to sweat a little, and I really hope Chelsea can get out of this rot and start to be the Chelsea of the season that we saw and really loved.